I am going to finish speaking on this matter.
County Democratic Committee meetings almost never get this heated or even this crowded. But on Monday night, hundreds of Democrats packed an auditorium looking to oust Manhattan Democratic Party Chairman Keith Wright. They plan to do it with a proposed rule that would force Wright to choose between his party post and his day job as a government relations director at a lobbying and law firm.
There is nothing wrong with lobbying. It is an important role in our society. But you have to choose. You cannot be a lobbyist and be the leader of the Democratic Party, certainly not in Manhattan.
Lower Manhattan District Leader Paul Newell led the uprising.
Changes to the rules. We're voting on point 7.
After Wright and Brooklyn's Democratic boss Frank Cedillo passed him over for a vacant state Senate seat that spans the 2 boroughs. The Manhattan Democratic Committee met and voted overwhelmingly for Newell, but in Brooklyn, there was no vote. Cedillo simply huddled with Wright, and they decided to give Assemblyman Brian Kavanagh the nomination, all but assuring Kavanaugh's election. Party bosses typically wield such power when vacancies occur in midterm, but the apparent backroom dealing in this case ignored the vote of the rank and file.
We need more openness in democratic processes, and we need reform.
I think Mr. Newell has to understand that we do not change laws shotgun style.
The rule change was hotly debated for 45 minutes. In the end, the party insiders put off a decision. They voted to have the Rules Committee study the proposal for 3 months and make a recommendation.
The ayes have it.
Newell called it a partial victory. Wright, watching the proceedings unfold from the back, said he's not a lobbyist.
Paul, I'm sure, is upset about some things, about the Senate seat, what have you, which I understand, but this is not the way to go about it.
The process is expected to take several months, but it's a process that is now underway after reformers pushed for change. In Manhattan, Michael Scotto, New York 1.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Keith Wright, and I'm the New York County Democratic leader. Today, we are here for a totally different reason. We're here actually this morning to make history. So that's why we are here today. We are here as county committee to choose the next person who will serve out the term of Mr. Farrell and who will probably run for re-election next year. So with that, I want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you to all of you, our county committee people. Our county committee people. As the county leader, you folks, I depend upon you folks, but the county committee is the backbone of the New York County Democratic organization and structure. So with that, I just want to say thank you for coming out. This is what democracy is all about. This is what our county political structure is all about. And this is kind of things that, because listen, in these offices, we just kind of rent these offices for a while. But the work must continue, and certainly you are here today to pick the person that's going to work hardest for you. Work in someone who believes in our community, to become that voice. Become that voice that everyone listens to, especially up at Albany.
Second question in the front, Ms. Dina.
I just wanted to, congratulations. I just wanted to say that, two things. Number one, that people are constantly asking me if experience matters in this position, and I just wanted to let you know that in your case, experience doesn't even matter. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you look at the measure of the man, when you look at the content of your heart, when you look at what's in your soul, it wouldn't even matter to me if you had not been working with him. It wouldn't matter to me if you were the dog catcher from Brooklyn for the last 20 years. You would still be the best person for this job.
Not a question, but I would like to respond.
Our response is thank you. And thank you for the Man Up brothers across the city that are in this room. The gold ties and black suits are Man Up. And I want to thank Mariella and the staff that helps us, and Mina, and so many more. Arthur Gray and Richie. So he didn't give me a question, so I'm just saying thank you one more time. Okay? Thank you. I think I've run out of my, there's a question.
No, I'm sorry. We have come to the end of the question segment.
Point of information, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Point of information. So is my understanding we only have one candidate that to consider? Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right. We're going to do ballots though.
Well, so Madam Chair, if we only have one...
Thank you. I do understand the desire for efficiency and expediency, but there are some things that cannot be traded for efficiency and expediency. And the rules of the party, quite frankly, dictate this process. And so, in order to make sure that what we do here today is as bulletproof as possible, we're going to do the ballot. And that is because a nomination at this point can come from the floor. I hadn't finished yet. Right? Are there any other nominations? Going once? Going twice? Hearing no other nominations, I now call nominations closed. We will now move to the vote.
Madam Chairman,
one second. Pursuant to the rules we adopted, each member of this committee is permitted to vote for any person, whether or not they address the committee. We have one candidate who is on the table, who has been nominated and seconded and accepted.
attention.
May I have your attention? May I have your attention, please? We are technically in recess, and so may I have your attention? This is right. Your attention. We're technically in recess, but there is a question that was not possible to be presented earlier because we needed to move through our process, our agenda, so that we could tally the votes. I did speak to the member about that question, and I think as chair, it's appropriate that it be heard by the full body. So Al, if you want to come on up. The question on the floor, and I'm going to speak to it first, and take the privilege to do so. The question on the floor was, how does the candidate feel about being elected? How does the candidate feel about being nominated through this process as opposed to a regular primary? And as the chair of this particular committee and the law chair, which is counsel to the party, I would say that this process is a very sacrosanct process. And the people in this room are true Democrats committed to the ideals and principles, and you are elected as representative. And that this is representative democracy in action. And so there is no less value in this county committee nominating process than there is in a broad primary across a district or a city or whatever the geography is. There's greater participation in this room than there typically is at a primary or a general election cast at the general public. That was my answer to the question, but I'll let Al give his own. He's going to try and be brief. And I'm going to check on the tellers and come back hopefully. Just one question, not one question.
I think this room is comprised of representatives from every ED in the 71st Assembly District. every election district in the 71st Assembly District has a representative or has an opportunity to represent. So we're speaking to the whole 71st. So I'm privileged. I haven't won it yet, but I am privileged to be the nominee for the Democratic line in November should I win this afternoon. But I'm very proud of the process because it's a democratic process. I didn't create it, it's here, and I'm going to work my way. And in September, when I'm on the primary, you can ask me that question again. I don't know where that question came from. No. I'm looking to the future. So ask me that question again in November when I am the incumbent and I'm on the ballot for September. Thank you.
What I was saying is, politics is getting very lazy. What people want to do is do nothing, then 2 days before an election decide they would like to run. And they want to be able to just raise my hand and run. And they don't want to be involved with politics. Now, what we just went through is a process. You had to be involved in politics. You had to put your name, you had to get petitions to sign it, and that's how you got on the board and became this person who is in this room today. Now what's happening, I was watching the TV, Channel 1, which everybody here watches, right? And on that, they were talking about these companies that are doing the politics jobs. That this guy's getting up and explaining how he's making all this money. And you know why he's doing it? Because the people running in politics no longer know their job. I got elected because I sat in a room for 10 years learning what voting is about. What it is. And then I went in, I became the best person at that time in the district. And people behind me, Al can tell you things that people don't know because he's going through that process also. But now they're just trying to raise their hand and say, I want to run. And they know nothing about politics, all but that. So they're trying to get rid of it, this process. They want to get rid of it because then it'll be easier. They can come in and do it any time. So that's why we should keep the system as it is. And again, thank you very much. My last speech, that's it.
Thank you, Denny.
It's almost over, right? So I want to thank all of you here this morning, this afternoon. This is really democracy in action. I want to echo something that Assemblyman Farrell had to say, although people say former. Once you're an Assemblyman, you're always an Assemblyman, as far as I'm concerned. They call Barack Obama the president, right? People call me former Assemblyman, you know, I'm a Assemblyman, what the hell? So, you know, you just can't wake up one day and think you're going to become an Assembly person. Look at what's happening in the White House right now. This is a man that had no experience whatsoever, and he's screwing up the country. All right, screwing up the country. So, I'm glad we have someone that has experience. My first job, Frankie has one down in the back. My first job was with then Borough President David Dinkins. You watch and you learn. You watch and you learn. So, Al Taylor, I want to say to you, as the next Assembly person from the 71st Assembly District, you're going to have a ball with this job. Because you're going to be working for your community. You're going to be making a difference. You're going to be, anything you do is going to be reflective on all of these people in this room and then some. There's no pressure. There's no pressure whatsoever. And because the people trust you, and that's why they've elected you. So it's going to be the best job. I did it for 24 years. And let me just say this. He ain't going to be making a whole lot of money. Matter of fact, he might be making less up there as the Assembly person than he was working for Denny. But Denny pays high salaries, as we all know. Denny pays such high salaries, as we all know. So I'm here. My job right now is to beat off out of 112 ballots. Out of 112 ballots that were turned in, 111 went for Al Kelly. Just giving him, we need to keep these mandates going. Just giving him 99.781%. You'll never see that again. Enjoy it today, brother. So it is my honor as the New York County Democratic leader. I want to thank all of our volunteers that made this meeting happen. Dean Johnson, Barry Weinberg, our executive director, Corey Ortega, Ken Miles, all right? Well, balance of Trump. All right, we're about there you go. Well, Ben Yee, how can I find you? My main man, Aries De La Cruz, is right here. And Matthew Levy. This is, and believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we have to do another one of these tomorrow afternoon for the New York State Senate seat downtown and in Brooklyn. These things ain't easy, right? These things ain't easy. So with that, it is an honor to be able to second the motion to adjourn. And Marie Antoinette said let them eat cake, but I think Gwen and Al have other things in mind for us to eat. So the meeting is now adjourned. All those in favor say aye. My name is Keith Wright, and as the New York County Democratic leader, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you. I certainly want to welcome all of those folks that ran for the district leader spots and the county committee spots and say thank you for putting yourself out there. So we are gathered here today for an exercise in democracy. And I want to say welcome to all of you. And democracy is not a well-oiled machine, but it keeps moving on. So I know that we were supposed to start a little while ago, but by county committee time, we're right on time. We're right on time. So I want to welcome all of you and say thank you. We're here to voice our opinion as to who the next Senate candidate should be for the 26th State Senate District. So, as you know, the State Senator Squadron resigned, and so now we are legally mandated to go through this process. So I just want to say thank you for showing up, number one. I want to say thank you to all of the candidates, number two. And I want to say that we also have with us a couple of people that want to say welcome to you. And I want to ask that our great...
As I said, these rules have been in place since the mid-70s. Each area of the county comes to understand those rules differently as it impacts their local neighborhood. And in various areas of the county, questions have been raised as to why is this process necessary? Why do we do it this particular way? Why don't I have a different ability under these particular rules? We have a meeting coming up on September 25th of the entire New York County Democratic Committee. And it is only at that meeting that occurs every 2 years, our organizing meeting, that we have the ability to change these rules. So I encourage anyone who has a suggested change for our party rules, our county party rules, to let me know ASAP.
Point of information. I appreciate that you're trying to move this along, even though the meeting started an hour and 15 minutes late. That was not the committee members' fault. You've referenced a number of times the New York County Committee rules. Those rules are not available on the New York County Committee website. Where can committee members find the rules that you're telling us we have to adhere to? Thank you.
I have a copy of the rules here. We can make, if we have the ability, we can make a copy for you before you go. We can send them to you. I mean, we don't have email addresses for county committee people, so we don't have the ability to do that. We'll try and put it up on the website. That is a sundry question that is not germane to the credentials committee report.
He just said we're doing the committee, the credentials report per the rules of the county committee, which you will not notice.
I did tell you. I did in fact tell you that if you request them, they will be made available to you. I'm gonna move along though.
Let's move along. Thank you. Let's move along. Let's move along.
There is a motion on the floor to accept the credentials committee report. There is a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. That's fine. That's fine. No, to the second. To the second. Give me 1 second. So the report of the Credentials Committee has failed with a vote of 66. Excuse me.
Sit down. The chair has not recognized you.
I will, John. The report of the Credentials Committee has failed with a vote of 66 no and 32 yes. I would mind this body, if we do not have a report of a Credentials Committee, then this body cannot meet and take any action at all. And so, let me finish. In a defeatist effort for the Credentials Committee, we are now stuck with having to figure out how to allow you all to indeed express your voice so that the county chairman knows what to go into the inter-county district meeting to do. The rules and procedures of the New York County Democratic Committee say specifically for you all. Page 8, section 3. Let me look. That question was asked and answered. It was no.
Then how can we vote on it?
You're not voting on the rules of the party. You don't do that. You don't have the authority to do that here. Section 3 says, yes, page 8, Article 4, Section 3 says, under inter-county districts, whenever, by reason of the rules of the state party rules, a party is required to make a nomination for public office, the chair shall consult with the district committee in carrying out his or her duties, and to the extent feasible, be guided by the advice of those present and voting at the meeting of the district committee. Those are the party rules of the New York County Democratic Committee. Ignorance of the rules is no defense. The final order of business is the vote of the candidate for the Democratic Party for the public office of Member of Senate from the 26th District of New York County to be listed at the general election held on November 7, 2017. In relation to some other meetings, you guys were lucky with that one. The tellers have tallied the votes and determined that 97 votes were cast in total. Brian Kavanaugh had 31 ballots cast for a total weight of 7,584 votes for 27.8%. Paul Newell had 66 ballots cast in his favor for a total weight of 19,692, which was 72.2% of the vote cast at this body today. We should give the two candidates a round of applause. I want to remind everyone that as we went through very arduously at the start of this meeting, the rules of the election, the state election law, the rules of the state party, and the rules of the Manhattan Democratic Party indicate that your voice today must be heard, and that the outcome of the vote today is advisory on the process moving forward. So I wanted to remind you of that because I'm not going to call Paul and Brian up for a victory speech because the process isn't done. There is a further meeting of the Inter-County District Committee between Manhattan and Brooklyn to actually nominate who's going to appear on the ballot at the general election in November. But with that being said, we gave both candidates a round of applause. They worked really hard to make sure all of you knew everything you could about them. I want to thank everyone here as members of the county committee for your participation in the process today. It was a little rough at the beginning, but we got to know each other very well.